and welcome. You're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. It's been 3 months since the 24 Ukrainian sailors were captured near the Kerch Strait. Now they are being held in the Lefortovo pre-trial detention center. Russian courts arrested them until the end of April. All of them said that they are prisoners of war and refused to surrender to provocations by the Russian security service. To talk more about this, we're joined in the studio today by Victoria Ivleva. She's a journalist, photographer, and a volunteer. Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So, unfortunately, our captured sailors, as well as all of the other prisoners of war that are being illegally held in Russia right now, are literally being held behind bars, and there is very little information about their condition and about their state of health. The same thing is happening to the 24 captured Ukrainian sailors. You are one of few in Russia helping and supporting Ukrainians. What do you know about their state of health?
First of all, I'm not one of a few. I'm one of very many, because lots of people support financially what we do. We're taking food to the Lefortovo detention center. This is mainly what we do. I'm an ordinary person, I'm an ordinary citizen, I'm just a volunteer. So I don't think I would know more than you know about their state, because I don't see them. I have the right to bring the food according to the list that is given by Lefortovo, and basically this is it. And some goods, like some clothes or some clothes.
You are a journalist. What's your personal opinion on the situation that's happening with the prisoners of war?
I think I show my personal opinion by helping people. This is my personal opinion. You should help those who are in trouble, and you should do something to. You should do something to show that there are people in your own country, though the whole country is doing something horrible. But country consists not only of a government, but it consists of people, and we are different.
One of the father of one of the sailors, let me find his name, Vasil Soroka, said that their children are being, I quote here, our kids are being tortured in Russia to give false confessions. How true is that?
I'm not a specialist. I don't think you should talk to me about this, because literally I'm just a volunteer. But according to what I know from the lawyers and what they say everywhere, if there is any pressure, it's only psychological pressure. Though we know that psychological pressure could be more efficient than any physical pressure, but there's no physical pressure on them. They're not tortured in physical way.
Okay. As a volunteer, do you belong to any organization? Or
no, I belong to myself.
Okay. How numerous is the volunteer movement of those who help Ukrainian prisoners of war is in Russia these days?
First of all, there are all those people who are donating money, and as most of the money are collected on my Sberbank account, I assume that most of them are citizens of Russia, but there's no way for me to know their names. You don't know who's donating, but there were money just coming from everywhere.
How did you organize this?
I just write a little post on Facebook, just very little one.
And people just
donate. But this all started some years ago, so in my Facebook space,
when did you start?
I'm probably known. I started with the war. I started with Maidan. I started with Maidan, with absolute support and admiration of Maidan. And then I was in Slavyansk. I was evacuating people from Slavyansk, and I was collecting money then, because you need money to pay the drivers, etc., to buy food and medical things that people are asked for. Then I was evacuating people from Lugansk area. So it's step by step, little by little, and you build up your small reputation.
Yeah. Are you working as a volunteer? Because this is hard work. Being a volunteer is hard work. So are you working in one direction, or do you work in several directions at the same time? What I mean is, right now, are you supporting only the sailors, or are you collecting money for other prisoners of war?
No, I don't collect any other money. I think 24 people is more than enough. And I'd love to do something, but I know that there's a Ukrainian consulate that helps somehow other prisoners of war and other prisoners, not like Oleg or Baluch or Pavel Grib, etc., or Alexander Kolchenko. There is a certain help coming from Ukraine, but we can't support everyone.
You say you take food, clothes...
but to finish, I think the foundation that Osman Pashaev started, thanks actually to the sailors' case, they will take care of this help to political prisoners in Russia. I'm sure they will do something. They just started, but they look very efficient, and we talked already about it.
When you bring food and clothes and cigarettes or whatever is needed to the... Shoes
as well.
To those sailors or whoever else in need, how do you make sure that all the goods that you've brought actually end up with the people you've brought them for?
Lefortovo is known, they don't steal, just because it's a very strict system there. I know that everything is brought to the sailors. You just know it. There are lawyers who visit the sailors, and they check. They could ask, and they do ask. They ask of their needs. They tell us their needs, and we bring what the sailors want or order.
How do you make sure that the white community...
White community?
Yes, the white community of people around knows the truthful information about what is actually happening to Ukrainian political prisoners or prisoners of war.
What is white community?
I'm saying people all over the world, the society, not only in your country, in my country, but also abroad. Let's say, how do you bring it to the international arena?
Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg.
Only social media.
Yeah, I do it through Facebook. Other people do it in their own way. But I always write about what we do on Facebook.
Do you collaborate with anyone? I mean, do you join forces with any organizations?
No.
So you do it just by yourself?
We're not an organization. No, there are just volunteers. They write to me private messages that they want to participate, and I try to involve as much people as possible. So every time it's different people are coming to help.
In your opinion, what should we do to secure the release of those people who are being illegally?
You meaning the citizens of Ukraine?
Yes, Ukrainians.
Writing letters to them. Writing letters to them every day, because you should understand that they are there in severe detention. They're closed away from the rest of the world. When their lawyers see them, they don't have time to discuss what's happening around in the world, because they have to discuss the case, and it's vitally important. So the only way for them to communicate with the rest of the world are letters. And the more letters you write to them about anything, you shouldn't write horrible letters about Russia, because there's a censorship and probably no one would allow those letters to pass. Write about your everyday life. Tell them how the spring is starting in Kiev or whatever is happening in their own cities. Write letters to them. This is the greatest possible support.
Let's all write letters to our captured sailors.
That would be very, very good.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
That was Victoria Ivleva. She's a journalist, photographer, and a volunteer. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned with UATV for more.